GoPro.
Or
Or just put your iPhone there. I bet it works.
Sometimes. GoPro.
The quality, I almost do it on my computer, but the quality's not as good as when I do it with my camera. Okay, what if I have something that looks like this? Y to the 1/3 power minus 7 equals 0. Okay, if you want to do it with the exponents, you can do it with the exponents. But if you want to switch it to that, you can do it that way. Okay? If you want to keep the exponents, how do I get rid of a 1/3? Well, if I raise it to the 3rd power, it goes away.
I got 340.
So whatever I raise to the 3rd power on one side, I've got to do it to the other side. That's going to give me, what is
343.
343? Okay, so then if you go back in, you would have to say the cube root of 343 is 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. Okay, so you can do it either way. You can leave it with the power, or you can change it to what you're used to doing. Yes, no, maybe? Okay. All right, that is through 5-8. 5-9 started your complex numbers, okay? So, in my opinion, that's the hard part done. Just remember on complex numbers that the square root of -1 is equal to I, and I squared is equal to -1. Okay, that's the key behind the complex numbers. Most of the things you just treat like ordinary x's or a's or whatever, but you cannot keep an I squared in your answer. Now, I started out by showing you that. Okay, now I would always do this by hand, but I'm going to show you on your calculator. If you understand what the calculator is saying, you can literally do this on your calculator. I told you to always start with I squared, raise it to a power that gets close to that. So 2 times 12 gives me 24, but then I need one more I, right? Which would be 25 i's. This is a -1 to the 12th power times I. Anytime I have a negative raised to a positive power, I lose my negative. So this is going to be 1 times I, or just I, okay?
Wait, you lose your negative if you have what?
A positive, not a positive, an even power.
And if you have an odd
If I have an odd, I keep it. Okay, so I would keep the negative, it would be a -1 if it's an odd power. Okay? If you took your calculator, so pick up your calculator, okay? If I put in I to the 25th power, raise it to the 25th, okay, you're going to get this.
5, -5, -12.
-5, E, -13,
Plus I.
plus I. Okay, so this means, remember that's times 10 to the -13th power. So if you think about that, -5 times 10 to the -13th power means I'm going to take my decimal and move it to the left 13 places, right? That's pretty doggone close to 0. Okay, because you're talking -0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and a 5. That's pretty close to 0. Okay, so this is like 0 plus I. What is 0 plus I equal to?
I don't like that.
I don't either. I don't either. That's why I would do it the other way.
How did you get that? I typed I to the 25th power and got I.
You just have a special calculator.
Smart.
Most of us, our calculators won't do that.
Okay.
Okay?
Special.
Sure you're
I
calculating
was like, what
for
kind of
yourself.
witchcraft are you doing?
Yeah, no, most of us will not do that. Okay?
Special.
But I would do it, I would probably do it by hand over doing it that way. Because that to me gets really confusing. Just understand this part is scientific notation. If you wanted to check it that way, you could do it that way. Some of them will have a 1 plus that, and you know that your answer is going to end up being 1. But your scientific notation is going to end up being 0. Okay? All right, so that's the top part. But then your multiplication rules. Now this is this part. That'd be crazy, guys, not to do it on your calculator. Okay? If you did 4i times 10i, okay, why not just put that into your calculator, which is gonna give you 40i squared. Your calculator's not, your calculator's gonna give you negative 40. Right? Isn't that what you got? So, if you wanna do it by hand and then check it with a calculator, that's gonna verify that it's right, okay? Now, there are things that you cannot do on the calculator. If you get a decimal value, you know you're gonna have to do it by hand. But let's say I have 2 plus 3i times 7 plus 4i. Okay? You'd have to do FOIL on this. Now, I don't have any square roots in here, so I know I can do it on the calculator. So that's gonna be 14 plus 8i plus 21i plus 12i squared. And I'm gonna go, oh, these two go together, so I've got 14 plus 29i plus, and then this is a negative 1, so that becomes negative 12. So I'm gonna get 2 plus 29i. What do you get when you just multiply that? 2 plus 29i. Okay? Do I?
I put it in my calculator.
And it comes out like that, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I'm saying, is a lot of this that doesn't have square roots can be done on a calculator. Now, if you've got a fraction up and down, like some of the homework from Thursday, you can't do it on the calculator like that. Now, you could do the top part, and you could do the bottom part, you could do it separate, and then put it together, okay? Make sure you combine like terms, but we've been doing that, so that's not a problem. Make sure you distribute your negative, or put in the calculator with your parentheses. If you look on the top of page 12, see the second one down, the second problem down, you have 9 minus 6i minus 12 plus 2i. Distribute your negative, or put it in your calculator, okay? Simplifying, make sure that if I have a square root of a negative, let's say negative 24. I can't do that on my calculator because the square root of 24 doesn't come out to be a whole number. So what I have to do is I have to look at this is the same root, the same as negative 1 times, what can I multiply together to get 24 that I can take a square root of?
4 and 6.
4 and 6, okay? So, square root of 4, 2. Square root of negative 1, I. So I have 2i on the square root of 6. Okay? Are y'all understanding that it's really not as hard as what y'all thought it was? Okay. And then that brings us to the stuff that we spent so much time on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one of those that we spent so much time on.
You said more time on it?
And I doubt if we'll need to, but if we need to, we will.
We don't have a lot of time.
No, we don't have a lot of time right now,
Yeah, like,
which seems to be pretty normal.
got 18 minutes. I just ate a whole bag of popcorn.
Yeah, 3
Alright.
bags.
Simplify that. Okay, this is the part where you have to multiply by the conjugate stuff.
So this part's the easiest because like we just worked on it.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, and this is the part that I was telling you, if you wanted to do the top separate from the bottom, as long as it doesn't have a square root in it, the calculator will do that separately, and then you can put it together. I'll let you do it, and then I'll show
I
you what
don't
I'm
know why,
talking
but
about.
when we started doing this, I don't know why I always thought that you could just divide it and then you can't.
That's what I thought too.
I know, I always thought
No,
you
because
just
you
do
can't
that.
separate those.
Yeah, you can.
Right.
I don't know why I always thought that.
Just this can't be reduced.
If something will go into all of it,
did this one at my house, when we were doing a review.
Can y'all see that blue or not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty.
Kinda
that
hurts
color.
though.
So we're looking blue now.
You can do the top part of the calculator. right?
Yes, and you do the bottom part on the calculator.
Which you wouldn't really need to because it's so easy, but.
Correct.
I use the bathroom.
Sure.
This
Is that what you got?
Where's
Almost.
Yes, I got it.
I put plus.
Okay. Now, if you had wanted to do it on your calculator, you could have done this times this first. Okay, on your calculator, it would have given you that. Then you could have done this times this on your calculator, would have given you that. And you just put that one on the top, that one on the bottom. Can't do it when you got square roots in there, but, yes,
Good.
yours probably will. I'm telling you, the rest of ours won't, okay?
Special.
So just because you're
So
special,
should I do that?
Let's just all go by.
you can do that. Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Where did you get that?
I don't know.
No, I don't think his will do it all the way. He was just asking me if he could do 4 minus 3i squared, and put the squared on the outside, and it gives you the 7 minus 24.
That's what mine did.
It's the same thing, so. All right, I am going to, write your homework on the board, okay? It really is not that much because we only have a few sections here. So I think, the grades should be pretty good for this test, I'm hoping.
You can always paperwork for me.
Do it.
That's what I waste paper
And
work
Sophie and
for me.
Elena,
Look,
you guys can
I don't write
decide
anything on it,
whether you wanna take this
and then I send it.
tomorrow or another time. Okay, so it's page 325 to 326, 60 through 84 even.